During Christmas dinner, my sister slammed the door, rolled her eyes, and said, "We don't want you here, go celebrate somewhere else." I peeked inside and saw my entire family around the table laughing, so I just said, "All right." 10 minutes later, my dad stormed through the door, calling my name. It was Christmas Eve, and the snow outside painted the streets white. I had been away for months, caught up in work and life, and honestly, I wasn't sure anyone at home even wanted to see me. My sister answered the door before I could knock properly. She looked me up and down, rolled her eyes, and said, "We don't want you here. Go celebrate somewhere else." Seriously. For a second, I just stood there, stunned. I could feel the cold wind biting my cheeks as I tried to process what just happened. But then, I heard it. Laughter. Genuine, warm, unfiltered laughter coming from inside. I peeked around the door, and my heart sank, and at the same time, it fluttered. There they were, my parents, my younger cousins, even my annoying older brother, all sitting around the table, glasses raised, laughing at some ridiculous story my dad was telling. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I didn't want to interrupt, didn't want to ruin the moment. So I just whispered, "All right. Got it," and started to turn away. I wandered down the street, unsure where to go, thinking maybe I'd grab a coffee somewhere and watch other people celebrate. 10 minutes later, just as I was about to accept my lonely night, the door behind me slammed open with a thunderous bang. My dad appeared, cheeks red from both the cold and perhaps frustration, calling my name like a superhero calling his sidekick. "Where do you think you're going?" he yelled, half laughing, half serious. "Christmas isn't Christmas without you." I froze. My dad's face, the way his eyes softened when he looked at me, it hit me harder than I expected. My sister, who had earlier slammed the door, now peeked out from behind it, her face unreadable, but I caught a tiny smile. He pulled me inside, wrapping me in a bear hug that made all the awkward tension of the last few minutes vanish. "You can't just run off and miss this," he said. "You belong here. Always." Sitting down at the table, I realized something. Christmas wasn't about perfect decorations, fancy meals, or even getting along flawlessly. It was about moments like this, messy, chaotic, filled with laughter and little grudges, but ultimately, it was about being together. The rest of the night was a blur of stories, teasing, and the inevitable debates over who made the best holiday cookies. My sister, though still teasing me relentlessly, even passed me a plate with a wink. My cousins insisted I join their secret gift exchange, and my parents kept handing me mugs of cocoa, saying, "You've been gone too long." By the end of the night, I realized something important. No matter how far I went, no matter the fights or the slammed doors, this was home. And sometimes the best memories come from the moments you think you're being pushed away, but really, you were being pulled closer than ever. That Christmas, I learned that even when people act like they don't want you around, the heart of the holiday always finds a way to bring you back in. And as we all sat around the table, laughing so hard that tears ran down our faces, I knew I'd never take this chaos for granted again. After that moment, I thought the evening would calm down, but Christmas has a way of surprising you. Just as I was starting to feel comfortable, my little cousin, Emma, who's only 7, suddenly grabbed my hand and dragged me to the living room. "Come on! You have to see this!" she whispered, bouncing excitedly on her toes. Curious, I followed, and there it was, a chaotic mix of wrapping paper, half-finished crafts, and a mountain of presents under the tree. My younger brother had tried to set up a surprise treasure hunt for everyone, and somehow, I had become the unexpected main prize. Apparently, the family thought it would be hilarious to hide small clues around the house leading to the missing sibling, me. At first, I laughed nervously, unsure whether I should play along. But then, seeing everyone's eager faces, I realized they weren't mocking me, they wanted me there. They needed me there. And so, I joined the hunt, crawling under the dining table, ducking behind chairs, and following clues that led to ridiculous places like the bathroom cabinet and the laundry basket. Every time I found a clue, I was met with squeals of excitement and cheers. For a moment, all the tension from earlier melted away. Finally, the last clue led me back to the living room, where my dad had strategically hidden a small gift for me. "We knew you'd try to escape again," he said, grinning. "So we made sure you had to come back." I laughed, feeling a warmth I hadn't realized I'd missed so much. Then, just when I thought the night couldn't get any more chaotic, my sister, yes, the same one who slammed the door earlier, handed me a cup of hot cocoa. "Here," she said, her tone softer this time. "You might as well enjoy it before Dad steals it." She smirked, but there was an unspoken truce in her eyes. By the time dinner was served, the table was a beautiful mess, plates piled high, glasses clinking, laughter echoing through the house. Stories from past Christmases came up, some embarrassing, some heartwarming, all of them bringing us closer than ever. My dad even told the story of me as a toddler trying to help him cook cookies, ending in flour everywhere and a kitchen disaster that somehow became legendary. We all laughed so hard I thought I might cry. And in that moment, I understood something profound. Christmas isn't about perfect moments. It's about being together, even when it's messy, awkward, or imperfect. It's about forgiveness, connection, and the small, silly things that make family life unique. Later that night, as we gathered around the fire, I looked at my family, the same people who seemed to push me away at first, and I realized something. They didn't reject me, they were testing me, maybe teasing me, maybe just making sure I remembered how much I mattered to them. And somehow, even in the chaos, that love shone through brighter than the Christmas lights on the tree. By the time I went to bed, my heart was full. I had been reminded that no matter the distance, no matter the misunderstandings, home was always here. Christmas had a way of sneaking up on you, of catching you when you least expected it, and reminding you that family, even messy, loud, imperfect family, is everything. Just when I thought the night had settled into cozy warmth, the unexpected happened. A loud crash echoed from the kitchen. Everyone jumped. My dad, ever the dramatic hero, ran to see what had happened, only to find my younger cousin Alex staring sheepishly at a toppled fruitcake. "I thought it could fly," he mumbled, holding up the cake like a trophy. Instead of anger, the room exploded with laughter. My sister rolled her eyes, but even she chuckled. And then it hit me, this is what Christmas really is. It's chaos. It's unexpected spills, loud arguments about who gets the last cookie, and ridiculous, cake disasters that somehow become the best stories later. As the evening went on, stories flowed like the hot cocoa in our mugs. My dad recounted the time he accidentally set the Christmas lights on fire. Don't worry, it was minor, and how my mom saved the day with a bucket of snow from outside. My sister even shared a story about me that I didn't remember. Apparently, I had tried to wrap the dog as a present when I was 5. Everyone laughed so hard I could barely breathe. Then came the moment that really caught me off guard. My mom pulled out an old photo album and started flipping through pages. Pictures of birthdays, holidays, and everyday chaos stared back at me. I saw myself as a kid, wide-eyed and innocent, laughing at silly things, crying at silly things, but always surrounded by love. I realized that even when I had felt distant, even when I thought they didn't want me, they had never stopped thinking of me. Suddenly my sister nudged me and whispered, "You know, maybe we were a little harsh at the door earlier." I laughed, shaking my head. "A little?" I whispered back. But there was no anger in me, only love, and maybe a tiny spark of revenge for all those times she had teased me. Just when I thought the night couldn't get any more magical, my dad stood up, cleared his throat, and said, "Everyone gather round. I have one last surprise for tonight." He disappeared into the garage, leaving us all wondering what he was up to. Minutes later he returned with an old box of ornaments that had been missing for years. "These belong to your grandparents," he said, "and it's time we put them on the tree again. Together." We spent the next hour hanging ornaments, telling stories about each one, laughing at the memories, and even making new ones. I watched my family, The same people who had made me feel unwelcome earlier, and I realized that the door's slam wasn't rejection. It was a test, a way to remind me that sometimes you have to fight for your place at the table. By the end of the night, everyone was exhausted but happy. The house was a beautiful mess of wrapping paper, cookie crumbs, and twinkling lights. I sat back, sipping my cocoa, and for the first time in months, I felt completely at home. That Christmas, I learned that family isn't about perfection. It's about the laughter after the tears, the chaos after the calm, and the love that persists through it all. And as I drifted off to sleep, I knew one thing for sure: no matter where life took me, no matter the slammed doors or eye rolls, I would always have a place at that table. Just when we thought the night had reached its peak, the front door opened again, with a gust of icy wind sweeping in. Everyone turned, expecting maybe a late neighbor or the mailman. But instead, it was my aunt, who lived across the country and hadn't been able to come home for years. She stood there, suitcase in hand, eyes twinkling with mischief and warmth. "Did I miss the fun?" she asked, grinning. The room erupted. My little cousins ran to hug her, my sister nearly dropped her cocoa, and even my dad looked momentarily stunned. I felt my heart lurch. This was a twist no one had seen coming. The family I had thought was complete suddenly felt even more alive with her presence. Then my aunt whispered to me, "You didn't tell them you were coming home for Christmas, did you?" I shook my head, laughing nervously. She winked. "Good. Keep it that way, it's more fun this way." And fun it was. She brought stories from the years she had been away, tales of strange cities, wild adventures, and missed holidays. But each story had a way of looping back to our family, to moments she had remembered fondly, and suddenly, I felt a new kind of connection, not just to her, but to everyone in that room. The chaos escalated further when my younger cousins decided that the Christmas tree needed a midnight relocation to make space for more presents. Lights got tangled, ornaments went flying, and a few cookies mysteriously disappeared. Laughter turned into a playful frenzy. I found myself chasing my little brother around the living room, dodging falling tinsel, until we collapsed in a heap, laughing so hard we could barely breathe. Finally, just as we were catching our breath, my dad stood and raised his voice, half serious, half teasing. "Everyone, hold still for one last thing." He pulled out a tiny wrapped box from his coat pocket. Inside was a small ornament, shaped like a heart, engraved with the words, "Family is forever." He handed it to me. "You've been gone, you've been away, but no matter what, this is yours too. You belong here." I held it, feeling a wave of emotion I couldn't contain. For months, I had thought I was an outsider, unwelcome, even forgotten. But that small ornament, that chaotic night, the laughter, the tears, the surprises, it all reminded me that love doesn't care about distance, anger, or slammed doors. It's persistent, messy, and sometimes hilariously dramatic, but it's real. That Christmas, I learned the ultimate lesson: the family who seems to push you away first is often the family who loves you most fiercely. And sometimes, the greatest gifts aren't wrapped in paper, they're moments, chaos, and the knowledge that no matter what, there's always a place for you at the table. As I lay in bed that night, listening to the muffled laughter from the living room, I realized I had never felt more at home. And somehow, amidst the madness, the teasing, the surprises, and the slammed doors, I understood the true magic of Christmas. It's not the gifts, the decorations, or the perfect dinners. It's being seen, being welcomed, and being loved exactly as you are. Just when I thought the night couldn't get any more magical, or chaotic, the power went out. The room went pitch black, except for the faint glow of the Christmas tree lights. There was a collective gasp, followed by nervous laughter. My little cousin Emma squealed, "It's like a spooky adventure," and immediately grabbed my hand. I laughed, trying to hide the sudden chill running down my spine. "Perfect timing for a story," my dad shouted, suddenly becoming the ultimate storyteller. He motioned for everyone to gather around the fireplace. We huddled close, mugs of cocoa warming our hands, as he began telling tales of Christmases past, some heartwarming, some downright ridiculous. Every so often, we'd hear bumps and creaks in the dark house, but the family's laughter made the shadows feel cozy rather than scary. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, I heard a familiar voice, my sister. "Oh, come on, you're making it sound like ghosts are coming to eat us." Her laugh echoed through the room, and I realized just how much I had missed this banter. I joined in, and soon the entire family was shouting jokes and mock scares across the dimly lit living room. Just as the story reached its peak, the front door opened again, but this time it wasn't my aunt or a neighbor. It was the postman, looking sheepish, holding a small, mistreated package. Is this for your family?" "It says open immediately on it." Curious, my dad took the box and carefully opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten in a familiar script I hadn't seen in years, my grandfather's handwriting. My eyes widened. He had passed away long before I could really know him as an adult, but the letter, it was meant for me. It read, "No matter where life takes you, you are always part of this family. There will be doors that slam, words that hurt, but remember, home is always waiting. Merry Christmas, with love." Tears filled my eyes. The chaos, the slammed doors, the jokes, the laughter, it all made sense now. Christmas wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about avoiding fights or feeling unwelcome. It was about showing up, being present, and embracing the mess, because love always finds a way. I looked around at my family, the same ones who had seemed to reject me earlier, and I felt an overwhelming gratitude. My sister gave me a small, shy smile, my dad ruffled my hair, and even my younger cousins tugged me into the next game of Find the Hidden Ornament. By the time the lights flickered back on, the house felt even brighter than before. The warmth, the laughter, the unexpected surprises, they had filled every corner. And I knew, without a doubt, that no matter what challenges or misunderstandings lay ahead, I would always have this night, this family, and this love. As I finally crawled into bed, exhausted but happier than I had been in months, I realized the true magic of Christmas wasn't in the gifts, the decorations, or even the perfectly cooked dinner. It was in the stories, the chaos, the laughter, and the unwavering love that waited for me, even when I thought I wasn't welcome. And somewhere in the quiet of that snowy night, I smiled, knowing that this Christmas, chaotic, messy, unpredictable, was the one I would remember forever. Just as I was drifting off, feeling the warmth of the night and the coziness of home, I heard a faint jingling sound coming from the living room. Curious, and admittedly a little suspicious, I got out of bed and tiptoed down the hallway. What I saw made my jaw drop. My dad, holding a small, mysterious box, was kneeling next to the Christmas tree. Beside him was my little cousin Alex, trying, and failing, to hide a huge grin. "Sure, it's a secret," Dad whispered, looking up at me. I approached slowly, and he motioned for me to sit beside him. He handed me the box. "Open it," he said, his eyes sparkling. Inside was the most unexpected gift I could imagine, a handcrafted ornament, shaped like a tiny house, with every member of the family represented by a small figure. Each figure had been carefully painted, including me. But that wasn't all. A tiny note was tucked inside. "No matter the distance, no matter the slammed doors, you are always part of this home. Merry Christmas." Tears welled up in my eyes. My sister, who had slammed the door earlier, appeared in the doorway with a sly smile. "Thought we'd let you think you were unwelcome, but nope," she said, handing me a cup of cocoa. "You're stuck with us." At that moment, my aunt, still in town, grabbed the old photo album and placed it on the floor. We sat together, comparing the new ornament to old family photos, laughing, crying, and sharing memories. Even the chaotic moments of the night, the fruitcake disaster, the blackout, the treasure hunt, now felt like part of a perfect story that tied us all together. Suddenly, my dad jumped up, clapping his hands. "Everyone outside!" he yelled. "One last Christmas surprise!" We all bundled up and stepped into the snow. The night sky was clear, filled with stars. Dad pressed a button on a small remote, and the entire neighborhood's attention shifted to our backyard. Strings of lights illuminated the trees, reflecting off the freshly fallen snow. And there, in the middle of it all, was a giant Christmas lantern, glowing warmly. "I've always wanted to do this," Dad said, grinning. "A family wish lantern. Everyone makes a wish, and we release it together." One by one, we whispered our wishes, holding the lantern carefully. When Dad finally lifted it, it floated up into the night sky, carrying with it our hopes, laughter, and love. I watched, feeling a wave of warmth and belonging unlike anything I'd ever felt. In that moment, I realized something important. Christmas isn't about who slams doors or says hurtful things. It's about the people who run after you when you're walking away. It's about the surprises, the chaos, and the unspoken understanding that no matter what, love will always find you, even in the middle of mess, laughter, or darkness. As the lantern disappeared into the starry sky, I felt my heart swell. For the first time in months, I wasn't just visiting home. I was home. And no slammed door, no eye roll, no awkward moment could ever change that. That night, I went to bed with a smile, knowing one thing for certain: this Christmas, the chaotic, messy, unforgettable Christmas, would stay with me forever. Just when I thought the night had finally settled, a faint sound came from the attic, a soft creaking, like someone was tiptoeing across the floorboards. Everyone froze. My younger cousins clung to each other, whispering about ghosts, while my sister rolled her eyes but stayed unusually quiet. Curiosity got the better of me. I slowly crept upstairs, each step echoing in the old wooden house. As I reached the attic door, I could see a tiny flicker of light beneath it. My heart was racing, part fear, part excitement. I pushed the door open, and there, to my utter shock, was a surprise Christmas setup I had never imagined. My parents had secretly decorated the attic like a miniature winter wonderland, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, fake snow covering old trunks, and a small table with mugs of hot cocoa waiting. At the center was a single chair, and on it, a small wrapped box with my name on it. I picked up the box, hands trembling slightly, and opened it. Inside was a journal, my journal, from years ago, the one I had lost after moving away. But it wasn't just the journal. Someone had added letters from each family member, reflecting on memories, funny stories, and heartfelt messages about how much I was loved. A note from my sister fell out. I unfolded it carefully. It read, "Even when I act like I don't want you around, I really do. You've always been part of this family. Merry Christmas, big brother/sister." I could barely breathe. After all the slammed doors, the jokes, the chaos, here was the proof I had been wrong all along. They had never stopped caring. Then my dad appeared behind me, grinning. "We thought you deserved a private celebration too. Somewhere you could see just how much we love you." I turned speechless, as my parents, siblings, cousins, and even my aunt crowded into the attic. They laughed, hugged, and passed me more small gifts, each one carefully chosen. The night became a secret family moment, something intimate, magical, and unforgettable. And just when I thought the surprises had ended, my sister handed me a small envelope. Inside was a plane ticket for the weekend after Christmas. "We're going to spend a few days together," she said, smiling. "No excuses, no running away this time." At that moment, I realized the truth. Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. It's the people who chase you down, the laughter, the chaos, the mistakes, the midnight surprises. It's messy, unpredictable, and completely imperfect, but it's yours. That night, as I finally climbed into bed, exhausted but happier than I had been in years, I understood one thing clearly: no matter the slammed doors, the eye rolls, the little arguments, or the long months apart, this family, and this love, was unshakable. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely, utterly, and unconditionally at home. Just when I thought the night couldn't get any more unforgettable, my dad whispered, "Wait, there's one last thing." He handed me a small envelope, sealed with a red ribbon. Curious, I opened it, and inside was a key. "Where's this for?" I asked, confused. My dad smiled mysteriously. "You'll see. Go outside." I followed him into the snow-covered backyard. The family followed behind, bundled in scarves and mittens. At the far end of the yard stood a tiny shed I had never noticed before, twinkling with fairy lights. The key fit perfectly into the lock. Inside, I discovered a small library of books, journals, and keepsakes, photos, letters, ornaments, all things we had collected as a family over the years. It was like a secret memory vault, a place where all our moments, both messy and magical, were preserved. My sister nudged me. See? Even when we argue or slam doors, this is for you too. You're always part of the story. I felt tears prick my eyes. All the slammed doors, the teasing, the jokes, they weren't rejection. They were love, messy and imperfect, but enduring. The family I had thought might not want me around had actually been weaving a night full of surprises, laughter, and memories just for me. We stood there together in the snow, holding mugs of cocoa, laughing and sharing stories under the stars. My aunt brought out her guitar, and soon we were singing carols, voices echoing into the winter night. Even the younger cousins were dancing in the snow, leaving tiny footprints like little reminders of the night's joy. As I finally went to bed that night, the warmth of the house, the chaos, the laughter, and the surprises still buzzing in my heart, I realized something important. Christmas isn't about perfection. It's not about fancy dinners or quiet nights. It's about showing up, even when you feel unwanted, and letting love find you, through slammed doors, messy games, unexpected visits, and secret surprises. And in that moment I knew, no matter where life takes me, no matter how far I go, no matter the misunderstandings, I will always have a place at this table, in this chaos, and in this family. That Christmas, with all its unexpected turns, laughter, and love, became a memory I would carry forever. And as the snow fell silently outside, I smiled, knowing I was truly home.